Please welcome our first competitor from the USA, Kate Abate.
My girl lies asleep in my arms.
We're wearing very similar color shirts.
Yeah, for sure. You look great.
Thank you. I got my hair cut yesterday, and they just kept cutting and kept cutting and kept. This is the shortest it's been in
It looks
years.
really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm looking to try to grow it out again, but
Are
I guess
you?
the universe did not want me to have that, and here it is. And every time I tell people it's like it was too short, they're like, "No, you look really sharp."
Yeah.
So I'm going to take it as this was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Are you okay if we jump right in?
Yeah, I am. I'm okay.
Okay. I've got like maybe 12 questions, and it's really just things that I took away from your talk, that we did meet in a conference down in Mexico with a friend of both of ours, Dr. Robert Glover. I know you are coaching him. I'm one of his certified coaches. He literally has changed my life. His book, and then working with them. And I know you obviously work with him quite a bit. And for me, being in his presence, like seeing him on calls, I'm in his mentorship program as well with other coaches of his. And it is that mentorship, you know, I call him my mentor, and it's a calming sense to have somebody that I look up to. The part of the reason I started this channel, my whole platform I call the Healthy Masculine Movement, is because working with him, I like it. It took a little while to form what I wanted to talk about, but I did an exercise with John Weiland. Do you know who John Weiland is?
I don't.
He's actually one of Robert's coaches as well.
Okay.
And I did a program with him, and he has one of the exercises called Your Impossible Goal. You have to choose something that you know you will never solve in your life. You will never get to the end of, but you just keep chipping away. And mine is to help heal all masculine insecurities. All masculine insecurities. So how can I start? This channel was the beginning of it, and then working with Robert. But one thing I really took away from what you spoke about and what John and Robert all talk about is like to begin with grounding. And you had us just kind of, maybe it was tree pose, I think, just feel your feet.
We did Tadasana. So Tadasana is mountain pose. And so it is the primary first position in yoga, if you will.
Okay. Yeah. I have taken yoga. It's been years, but it was very similar to, I've studied recently Tantra and Taoism. So that's kind of what I'm falling in love with. And what I do every morning now is a horse stance. And it really is, I feel my spine, you kind of sit in a half squat, your arms are out. And I feel my spine like a titanium rod, like it's, when I teach men this, it's going down into the ground, like rooting into the ground. It's coming out my skull. So I'm firm in the back. And then open here, so like I can feel the world. And it's something that Robert keeps kind of inviting me to open to. It's like, feel that. How does it feel when it's in your body? So just starting with that grounding.
Embodying that, I think we need permission to, some of us need more permission than others to have a firm backbone. And I think, as I think men are a bit tortured in this social moment, being torn between narrative of having to be, not being allowed to be, fully masculine, and yet also not, being invited to waffle in vulnerability. And, to have a firm backbone and to firmly be planted and rooted. There's a difference, right, between being grounded and being centered and being overly top-down, aggressive, right? Yeah. And I think discerning that, and I think the second part of the work then there is, once your backbone is nice and firm and strong, it's up to us to open like tree branches and to open our hearts and to be heart-centered, right? Because if you can be firm in your backbone, then you have no risk of erring by opening your heart as wide as possible.
Yeah. And I feel that through the teachings of Robert, of John, all the coaches that I've been with. And then now feeling, I've only been coaching for about 3 years. So it's a new part of my life. I had a whole other career. I used to record music. I worked in recording studios and went on tours around, not the world, but Canada and the States a bit. But I had a calling, like, to really be okay with that career ending, that purpose ending, and then something new opening. And a lot of it is from my biggest wound, which is sexual shame, wanting to be a great lover and then not being able to. And then this is now what I teach because I've been studying for years. And something you mentioned just in the talk is that you've had some trauma from men, but you also still want to very much invite men into the community, that we need everybody to be, I think you said, at the table.
Yes. Yes. I hurt people, right?
Yeah.
And I am lucky to have walked a path that I have had a lot of violence. I've had a lot of sexual violence. I've had domestic violence. I've had physical violence. And I'm a survivor. And there are many men who are survivors also. And so part of the work that I do is I actually have been working as a crisis counselor for the National Sexual Assault Hotline for the last 8 years now. And that work has been far more encouraging than not, because when you speak with people under the age of 10 who are in crisis situations, who know to reach out over a hotline, you have a sense of hope for the world. And, that the reason I do that work is because there was a specific incident that I experienced where I was badly beaten, and I could not ask, my phone was actually removed, and I could not make a phone call. And I was able to get online and send an iMessage to a family member to help me, but I didn't know about a hotline at that time. And had I known about that hotline, I would have used it. And so, it's also incumbent upon me to hold others accountable for their actions, right? To not hold it on, to be forgiveness, but to not hold on to that. Because that's for them to work through. I'm lucky to not have to live with having done that to someone else, right? And that is something that they have to hold on to. And I hope that they can release that from themselves. But the reason that it even further encourages me to help to work with men to complete the circle is because if men and women are both able to be in their fullness, in their full power, and to be standing strong, and I'm with you on, sexuality being at the core base of your identity. If you are secure in your sexuality, in your fullness as a woman, if a woman is celebrated as the goddess and a man is celebrated as in his fullness, right? Then nobody is looking for power from the other.
Yeah.
And nobody is looking to put the other down. The man is firmly excited and championing the woman to be in her fullness. And the woman, same with the man. And this doesn't it doesn't have to be a heterosexual dynamic, right? It's energetic. That's what the language I'm using is energetic. It's, two energies coming together. And if both are in their fullness, celebrating one another, there's no dominant pattern of put down and of violence and of having to be kept. And that's why I seek to uplift men more and more and more, because I think the reason that I've encountered so many of the dynamics that I have is because they've felt threatened by socially, culturally, imprinted upon, historically, intergenerationally trauma, right? Like, they have a narrative that keeps them in a position where they feel they have to exert that power and that force and that violence. And if we really zoom out and look at the construct and look at the structure and say, this is where this is coming from. If we can all just meet at the table and bring our unique, different gifts to the table in our fullness and champion one another, we'll have a great time.
Yeah. Let's have great times.
Right?
But thank you for sharing that, because I didn't know how deep it went. And you mentioned something as well that obviously those men weren't empowered. Any of those
Correct.
men didn't feel fully empowered, or they wouldn't even do that kind of thing.
And I didn't know that. And unfortunately, that's, I've had, seem to have experienced a lot of life experiences that, again, I feel have been gifts that I get to then share on the other side and process and be in gratitude for being where I am. And not being a victim, right? I'm definitely not a victim.
No, I see that. You were probably the smallest person in the room, but you were huge on stage.
Thank you.
And that is impressive. And the fact that I can really see that you want men to succeed after what you've obviously gone through, and then coming to Mexico to be in a room with 50 men, step on the stage and then show up. I want you men to show up. When you were taking questions from them, I could see that from you.
Yes. And that's what other women want too. And that's what, whether you're with a man or a woman, or with someone who doesn't identify with any label, that's what they want too, is everyone wants that security and everyone wants that stability and, that reliability, that consistency of saying, I can have a really strong feeling and I can be really upset and I know you're not going to walk away. And it's okay for me to have this feeling and to have my inner tantrum, which is not directed at you, but it's scary for me. And knowing someone else is in the room, holding the phone with you, holding your hand and saying, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, and I know I've done work on that. There's still work for me to do on that, because it's scary, I think, to receive that as well. If we don't,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, if we don't know it's not directed at us.
Correct.
It's almost a gift to be there. It's no, they're opening up so that they can get rid of it. And if I just hold myself.
That's the meaning of holding space. It's this term that we use so casually right now of can I hold space for you? But really what that means, right, is someone's going through something. Do you have what it takes to stand there and receive it with keeping that impermeable, I'll say, plexiglass of saying, let's let those emotions come in this channel right here. I'm not going to internalize them, but I'm going to hold this space for you in this, these feelings are here.
Yeah. And you just saying that, I'm okay, I know there's work for me to do there, and I want to do the work.
For all of us, yeah, sure.
And I don't think you ever stop. Hopefully, we don't want to stop doing work like that. And it is a leveling up and growing older. And I know I would love to ask you in a little bit about growing older, because you work with people that are getting older in their life.
Yes.
But another thing that really came across for me, and it's a simple sentence, and the way you put it across stuck with me as soon as you said it, but it's the chop wood, carry water. I didn't know what Ikigai was. I did a bit of homework on that, and I was actually, using my voice text to try and figure it out, and ChatGPT could not figure it out, so I had to do a little bit of research, which I'm glad I did. But are you okay just to get into a bit of the chopping wood and Ikigai? And one other thing you said, the brilliance lives in your boring. And all of that, because the way you put it across, again, it was powerful.
Thank you. Yeah, that's my favorite Zen koan. Chop wood, carry water. It's not mine, but it's if I were to have a tattoo, it would probably be that.
Yeah.
It's slow and steady, move forward, chop wood, carry water, show up and do the same thing. And what I mean by do the same thing, it's not a grind, it's not a routine, right? It's philosophically, it's, this is, we all know that the Michelangelo, said, like, how did you create the David? Oh, I didn't. I just chipped away at the marble until it appeared, right? And it's that energy of chop wood, carry water, of, much like what you said about John Wyland in the beginning, of what is the one thing you cannot ever solve, right? Well, if you are continuously walking the path, finding your depth, finding your ocean floor, finding your depth, you're going to continue to go deeper and deeper and deeper into yourself. And there are hopefully, in a well-being life, you have practices that sustain you to allow you to find your inner and core depth. And that's what I mean by your brilliance is in the boring, right? A bit, that's a bit more strategy, whereas chop wood, carry water is a bit more philosophical for mindset, right? Because I'm not a big person of saying, like, what are your goals, even though we use that language, but linguistically it imputes that a goal is something you check off a box. And chop wood, carry water is lifelong. That's something that, for example, like, we're talking about aging and talking about, holding space. If we allow ourselves to enter life, if we allow ourselves to be deepened by the experience of life, and we don't just sit on the sidelines observing, but if we actually participate and enter, then we have dynamics such as blended families, children, older adults, caregiving opportunities that are challenging. And we have we bump into natural abilities to hold space for things for which we are not prepared. My best friend from high school and college, her dad died suddenly 2 nights ago, and I spent a lot of time with him growing up, and he had a heart attack and was doing okay, and then he just took a turn for the worse suddenly and died. And you are never prepared for that, and neither should you feel shame or blame for not being prepared for that. But it's another thing that will deepen you, that you will go through, and you will be stronger for having gone through. And we will all have experiences such as that. And the goal is chop wood, carry water, right? Are you still showing up to deepen yourself? Are you still reflecting on this as this is deepening you? Are you still showing up for the experience? Right?
And taking it in, I think, when I wrote a little post of chop wood, carry water after seeing, and I just see how I have been doing that. I'm trying more and more just to show up, do my morning routine, because I know that affects the rest of my day.
Yes.
And this is also what I teach in my courses. I'm running an 8-week course now that, around sexual energy for men, to properly use it. But it starts in the morning. And every time I miss a bit of my morning routine, I write to the guys and say, hey, I didn't show up as I wanted to this morning, and I feel it in the rest of my day, but I recommit to tomorrow getting up and starting it. And it is that, like, now I'm going to think of chop wood, carry water. I've never heard it said. I might have never heard that actually before. And it's just going to live with me. Chop wood.
I mean, think about it, right? It's if you think about how it was used then, at some point, right? You chop your wood and then you carry your water. And it's something that you have to do every day.
Yeah.
Because you have to survive. Those are things you have to do every day to survive. You need fire to burn for the stove, and you need water to drink. And that means these are tasks that have to be done every single day, and it's a privilege and an honor. It means you're alive to do them, and it doesn't mean you always want to do them. Yeah. And they also have to be done. And it's whatever your version is of chop wood, carry water. And for me, it just means keep on keeping on, slow and steady. Like, show up, do the thing. Show up, do the thing. And know what that means for your animal, right? And if you make it strategic, so that's the philosophical lens, whereas if you go strategic with it, right, the brilliance is in your boring. We are so programmed to look for novelty and excitement.
Yeah.
And, our attention, I don't think our attention span is what's different. I think it's our level of what engages our attention has been dulled. I think we're so used to high octane bursts of sugar and chemical, stimulation that most people are just understimulated at net, right? And so that understimulation requires that, high octane dose of scroll or whatever people do. And at the same time, if you want to be in your excellence, your brilliance is in your boring, which means drink your gallons of water, eat your vegetables, eat your protein, go to the gym. How much cardio did you do today? Did you call your mom? Did you lay out your clothes for the next day? Did you put your dishes away? Are there dishes in your sink right now? Are they getting grody? Go rinse that thing out and put it away.
Yeah.
This is not rocket science. It's boring.
Yeah.
But that's what makes you successful.
Yeah. Coming back to those.
Get over it. Do it.
Yeah. I will admit there are dishes in my sink right now. And I will do them. But that is one of my things that I can get complacent on. I used to live in a communal house. That's a good question.
Because it's totally normal. It's totally like most people, that's a thing. I want to know why.
Yeah?
It's okay. There's no wrong answer, but
yeah, do I know my why? I think I want to be doing something else.
Okay. Well, I'll just tell you, the reason I don't leave dishes in the sink is because I've learned I have a 2-minute rule. I'm like, if it takes less than 2 minutes, do it now.
Yeah.
It takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. Just do it now. Just do it now. Just do it now. Because anything that you don't do now, anything that takes 2 minutes now, it's like the marshmallow rule, right? Where it's like, I'll give you 1 marshmallow now.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you can wait, I'll give you 2 marshmallows later. And I'm like, who would ever want 1 marshmallow? I want 10 marshmallows. I'll wait as long as you need to give me those 10 marshmallows. I can do that. So if it takes, those 2 minutes it takes to do the dishes now, and it's actually more like 40 seconds, not 2 minutes. If you actually just rinse the thing out, don't let it get sticky, and then just put it in the strainer, whatever, and just let it dry, then it's not in the sink. It's not sticky. It will take you far longer later.
Yeah.
So it's do you value that 7 minutes later, or do you value your 40 seconds now?
Yeah. It's a great way of looking at it, because what am I using those 40 seconds for now?
Right.
That are more valuable in my mind to the 7 minutes.
You're fantasizing about something that's more exciting than the dishes.
And the right now. Yeah.
Than your chop wood, carry water.
Yeah, and it kind of rolls into what you were talking about, building a lifestyle of luxury with longevity. I don't know if it rolls into that, but it's another one that I took again from your talk. Yeah, just doing the things now that are going to make your life long in the vessel we have here. Yeah. And I think you spoke about fitness and nutrition, and not as something of vanity, not to look better, but just this is the body that's going to keep you your whole life.
That's right.
Tune it up.
That's right.
Tune it up. Like, I just turned 52 on the weekend.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. It was quite the journey. I did mushrooms in the park.
That's awesome.
Quite a story. But I plan to. I'm in a small chat group with some of the other coaches of Robert's, and we got a fitness goal to go on to. I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle.
That's great.
Without getting any belly fat, and get more flexible at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And you can. And
I can.
Yeah.
And I know it's the small things that are going to get me there. And Robert talks about how you push him for those macros, because I went to the gym this morning and I'm not really looking at the weights that I pushed. Okay, I pushed a bit more than last time, but how much more did I push than last time? Can I get 10% per month more? I'm not looking at that. Now, joining this group just this last week, I'm going to.
Okay.
I'm going to take those steps. And then I also know I don't eat enough protein. During COVID, I decided to go vegetarian, and I did not find protein along with it. I'm now coming back to meat, but slowly. So there's the little things, like if I can find my lifestyle, building that into the luxury so that my life is long, there is longevity to it. I want to be here for a long time, and I want to be in great shape. I still want to travel a lot. I still go skiing. I still want to do fun things in a body that is well working.
That's right. And that is, again, I'm a gerontologist, and I'll say that we take this for granted, and it was, it's no coincidence when you look at a path, right, spiritually from the end. I'll say I received so much backlash when I was in my 20s and just coming up earlier in my 30s, from my adherence to, because I'm a professional bodybuilder, and that was not what I was, I'll say, groomed to do or to be by, with a strong educational background and all this from the East Coast and, New York and Greenwich and, society, etc. That was not okay. And it's when you work with people who are in their 80s, and some of my best friends are, in their late 70s, there is nothing more important than your physical vehicle, than the structural, significance of your body. And you take it for granted until you're about 60, most people. And then there's an altercation. You have an event. You have a fall. You have a heart attack. You have an indicator on a blood test. And most people wake up and they say, "Oh, I've been slamming this thing around, throwing stuff into it, and just getting by, for, decades on, this fuel. And now it's starting to break down." And that is what prevents people from going places and seeing the things that they have worked their lives away for money to wait to see until they've retired. Yeah. And I'm like, guys, we might want to rethink this. People have done this before. People are still not learning from this, but they are slowly. That's the thing. People are starting to see, you know, like the book Die with Zero, etc. This concept of saying, you know, I'm not going to wait to give it all away. I'm not going to wait to live it all away. I'm going to do it now. And I'm going to enjoy the life, you know, my health span, you know, my well span while I'm here and use that. But there's also a way to say, hey, you know, we're seeing people live well into, you know, being 100, being 110. And I'm not here to be like the oldest dude on the block. Like, that's not my game plan, right? I want to be having the best time for as long as possible. That's the game plan. How much joy can I pack into my life? And really by joy, I mean, how much diversity, breadth, and depth of experience can I pack into my life? And that doesn't mean it's easy either, right? There, you know, choose your challenges, right? Robert says, choose your regrets. I say, choose your challenges. You can look forward. And you can look at things and say, what am I going to choose to deepen myself? And then also, we know that we're not in control, and there will be things dropped into our path that we will be challenged by, right? So there's certainly that. But your physical vehicle is something that we take take for granted, and until it's not, and it's never too late, in my opinion. But, you know, if we keep it in mind as we go, we'll be better off.
Yes. I'm actually amazed sometimes when it looks like people think that they have a chance to maybe get a new body. That's the way they're treating the body they have right now. They don't really care. It's probably, you know, a mental thing as well. I think it must be. If you're not treating your body very well, it's because you don't have a great mindset, or thinking that this is my one body. I want it to be great so that my life is great. Mm-hmm. And you know, do I see it in older people? I've noticed that walking around, I'm in Vancouver, Canada, walking around town the other night, you know, there's definitely some homeless here, and there's a bunch of kind of older people walking, and they look like they have shame almost for being older.
Yes, they do.
That they're no longer desired in our community. Correct. Which is pretty shitty.
Yes, and so I'll be starting, a lot of the work that I do is, I'm, as you know, I'm a coach, but I'm also, an intergenerational community developer. And in that, you know, I build cultures of connection and community, and also physical structures of community. And a big part of that is breaking down. So ageism is visually reinforced. It's a visually reinforcing behavior pattern, and it's because you see it, you can identify age, right? It's visual. Mm-hmm. And, you know, then you cannot help but respond, and you treat someone differently based on the way you perceive their age and their capability. And we have socially ingrained norms of what we value and what we think older adults are capable of doing in their relevance to society. And so part of my mission is to build a voice and a narrative through podcasts and other means to say, we need to get ahead of this and look at our older adults as with the relevance that they do provide to our society, and the generativity and the gifts that they bring to us, and the wisdom they have for us, and the way that we have so much anxiety as young people because we don't have leaders we look to say, hey, look at them, they're doing awesome. Look at that, look at Robert, he's doing awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and we need to break that down, because guess what? No one escapes it. And it's coming.
It's coming. the whole idea of eldership, like there's so much knowledge in us.
Yeah.
Just by living life, and I have no doubt that younger people talking to older people saying, wow, I just got my heart broken. This is probably the end of my life. It's so terrible. Say, no, you will be okay. You will be okay. This is going to hurt for a little while, or you didn't get the job that you really thought you would get. It's like there could be a gift behind that. We don't feel that in the moment. And if we don't really have somebody to talk to who has experience saying, great, you didn't get the job, what are you going to do next? Instead of feeling the failure of it.
And that's exactly right. It's, generativity is this, and that's a big part of my method in general is giving back. And that's, younger people have things to give back, older people have things to give back, but it's an exchange of love and, volunteerism and spirit that, again, as I said, my two best friends, one, his name is Jeffrey, he's 75. It's he with whom I'll be doing a podcast. And man, if you have never met a character, you have never met a character. I mean, he is a kick. And then there's Bonnie, who's 78. And they're both residents that I met, they're from my community that I built. And Kevin, I'll tell you how special the relationships are because they're not my parents. So I can tell them anything and everything. There's no interference at all. We talk about sex. We talk about everything. And they also have the perspective of their years to share with me. Mm-hmm. And they have the perspective of their experience that validates when things in my life are real and are unusual and do need space to be held for them, that I might gaslight myself on or compartmentalize or undervalue because you just know you. Mm. And they seem to think that it's like, well, what are they getting out of it? They are more empowered to live their best lives and to keep trying new things and to keep trying again by having relationships with me and younger people. And by saying, you're right, I can do that. Because I'm like, why can't you go there? You can do that. Why not? Like, you can do that. Like, I just took Bonnie to the dispensary last week because, she needed to sleep and her doctor said, let's go to the dispensary. And she was like, well, who can I trust to bring me? They're just going to sell me anything. I don't know anybody who can tell these people to not upsell me these marijuana products. Like who can take me there? Right. And, so it's this unique lane of relational, wealth that we have the opportunity to build these intergenerational relationships. And it's true for any dimension, right? Like my last assistant was 25 and, she and I it was just, and I also work with, I essentially build, I bring retirement communities and universities together. So it's pairing older adults and students. And that's not as natural as you'd think. Like it makes sense. You're like, oh, well, grandparents and their grandkids. Sure. But when they're not related and you put them in the room, it's like their backs are turned toward one another and they don't know how to communicate. They judge each other. And they say, you can't see what I am and you can't see what I am and you judge me because of the way I am this and that and the other. And it takes a lot of communication to break down and it requires saying, oh, this is who I am. And this is how I need to be, treated. So anyway, but there's so much wealth that we're missing by not having those relationships in our lives.
Yeah, and it really seems that there's so many retirement homes where older people are just kind of put away.
Yes. Well,
literally put away,
correct.
And then how often do people see them?
Well, that was intentional. That was what society did with nursing homes back in the day, and that's something that in my industry that we are looking that we're really working on changing this mindset that, you cannot hide this away. This is wrong. It's inhumane. Like ageism is still the last socially acceptable form of discrimination and of hatred. And we don't call it out. And it's structural, just like every other aspect of privilege, right? So there's a lot of work to be done on this. And as our demography continues to go the direction it is, in one sense, it's good because it will get louder because all of the voices are going to be saying, hey, I'm old. Stop doing that to me.
What is something that, obviously you're building communities, but what is it something that I could do or somebody else that would be watching this say, oh yeah, I actually want to not just learn from older people, but consider them my elders. Learn.
Sure. Well, I do hope to be able to create a vehicle that will be easier. I love that you asked that question. Easier to interact and engage so that we can start to form these partnerships and have micro communities, because as you get older, you also need things closer. Like it's more important to be in person. It's more important to have, to bring things closer. And then some people are totally keen to be virtual and it's fine. But, I think number one, using your voice, just the fact that you're interested is the start. The awareness is the start. And, like having our conversation and just highlighting it is the start of something, of saying, hey, this is something that's coming up. It's going to be on the radar. Like, look for this. There are going to be opportunities to bond, and really appreciating and understanding the value behind bonding between and with generations is a big part of just moving the groundwork forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do know I have friends who are musicians that go in and just play sometimes in nursing homes, just so people.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Create a bit of community. It was the last time I ever saw my grandmother is I went into her nursing home, and she gave me her piano when she had to go in. And I played piano in the nursing home. I only knew 5 songs. I still only know 5 songs. But people started to gather, like all the other residents. And I was like, I'm not good enough to do this. They just wanted to see somebody play and, maybe new energy or somebody different and somebody that wanted to be there.
Vitality. And I'll say there's also, I just want to be super clear, like there's a huge, the one of the biggest aspects of ageism is that people think old people are old people. People think like, 65 and north is like one category of people. And it's like, no, like we're all in cohorts. And most of the time, a cohort of 7 years, most of the time it's, people you see in nursing homes are really in that compressed morbidity time. That's really a time when they, for the most part, very, very, very much at end of life span, and often have very little resources. And that's why nursing homes are so tragic. They really are tragic places. And we need better solutions and better care for those who are in nursing homes. And I don't want to get into the finances and the business of that. It's a very sad thing that our society has allowed for far too long. But today the puck has shifted to really be focused on retirement, continuing care communities where we're encouraging people to go into and live their best lives in community in their early 70s. When everything is still, and then they travel. Like some people literally put their bags down, Kevin, and then go off and see the world for months and like come back and like check into their home and then like leave again for months. And,
Nice.
they just live these like lives that we were talking about earlier where they've saved their whole, they've worked so hard for this chapter. And some people are lucky enough to have that. Other people, they do that and there's a diagnosis.
Yeah.
And one spouse can't. And that is talk about holding space. That's a super frustrating, interesting, and common dynamic. So one, don't wait to enjoy your life. Don't wait. And two, know that if you're lucky enough to make it to that time, it's the best time. It's the best time of your life. And that's what we get wrong as younger people. We think we got the best time. And let me tell you, my residents are having the time of their lives. And it's so awesome. And it was my privilege to build that lifestyle for them.
Nice. And I can see that, like the work you're doing with Robert, I know Robert's putting in the work, but he talks about that like monthly, that he's having the best time of his life monthly, every single time. He like every year. He just turned 70. I know you saw the pictures of him in his tuxedo on his birthday. I was like, shit, man, I'm 18 years away. Can I get in that good a shape?
Yes, you can.
And stay in that? I know I can. Like, I want to hold myself to that.
Okay,
Make sure that I do.
You need a good coach accountability and friends, and if you need support on that, let me know, because it's something I really enjoy. Again, it's the egress I use to access finding depth and chopping wood and carrying water and other elements of life is once we get the fitness and the nutrition dialed, the other things start to unfold and start to allow us to find depth, meaning, and purpose in other areas of life.
Okay. I'm feeling that now. I'm taking better care of myself, probably than better, more the earlier in my life. And so, yeah, I'm noticing that. So I'm appreciating that.
Amazing.
I have one more question I would love to ask you. Just like, how do we know if we're planting ourselves in the right garden, or are we going to feel that, oh, yes, this is me in my right garden?
That is something that's intuitive.
Yeah.
And you won't know until you're not in the right garden, at least with my own experience.
But that might be all we need to know, is when we're
Correct.
feeling we're not in the right place.
Correct.
Okay.
But also, it's a discernment. That's a loaded question, because there's so much I can respond to about that. There's a lot of discernment. It's not a one-note answer. That's because just having doubt or fear doesn't mean you're in the wrong place. That could be a you problem, versus you're in the wrong place.
The people around. Yeah. Okay.
Right. It's, when you're out of alignment, it's like the world's not wrong. You're off. Right. It's like you need to get into tune. Right. Like you're a musician, like you're off key. Right. But there are times when you've outgrown your environment. And so it's patterns. And, there's a lot. That's a loaded one.
Okay.
So we'll have to save that.
That's good. I don't mind saving. To the future. Yeah,
for sure.
Thank you for that. The last thing I'll say is something you said again, is what's it going to take? Everything you got. So that's the way I want to live as well. Chopping the wood, carrying the water, but giving everything. So that's why I wanted to reach out to you. I love the way you spoke. And thank you for this call.
Thank you, Kevin. Keep doing the work you're doing. The fact that you took those notes and you had those takeaways honors me and makes me feel I'm so honored to be here and to share those notes again with you, because it demonstrates how truly committed you are to doing this work. And that definitely means the men you're working with are receiving your best and they're receiving gold. So I would say keep on keeping on, and let me know how I can help.
Thank you. I will. And thank you for this call. We'll chat again.
That sounds amazing. Thank you, Kevin. Be well.
Okay. Bye-bye.
lies asleep in my arms. The light that lets me read shows her age. Her and I crammed a boy.